Why have Ananda, sir? Thank you. Thank you so much for your scientific presentation on Kayakalpa. Now, I request Perumalaya to give his inputs.
வாழ்க வளமுடன் சார். It's very nice to hear you. You have given some inputs about the different concepts, and as an authority in medical field, you emphasize the points of the glands also, and about the vagus nerves also, sir. So this class actually you have given some inputs about the semen and the ovum and the vital fluid. Can you give some more inputs about the vital fluid formation and the contents of the vital fluid?
Yes. So vital fluid in a man, it is the ejaculate, which happens during the sex or masturbation. In the woman also, there is a vital fluid which has a part of the ejaculation. So it is produced in the testes. In the testes, there are two types of cells known as Sertoli cells and Leydig cells. Maybe in the future presentation, I will make two separate slides on the vital fluid itself, so that people who are using the slides to revise, it will be useful. So they produce testosterone and sperms. So they are conducted by the vas deferens into the seminal vesicle, which is like a storage area. So the testes produce the sperms 24/7, anytime. But a man has sexual intercourse or ejaculation only at a specific time. So that's why they're all stored in the seminal vesicle waiting for the ejaculation. During the ejaculation, with the pudendal nerve and other nerve supply, the seminal vesicle constricts and it ejaculates through the ejaculatory duct, which opens up closer to the prostate, and with some prostatic secretions also, which helps in liquefaction of the vital fluid. A man ejaculates the semen. So semen contains millions of live sperms, nutrition in the form of fructose, and the prostate secretes the fluid which liquefies the semen, and all these things constitutes the concentrated vital fluid which enters the woman's vagina. The sperms swim to the cervix and reach the ovum. If there is a ovum available, fertilization will happen. If there is no ovum available, the sperm will get wasted. And then if when the woman has the ovum ready, if no sperms are coming, the ovum get wasted and it is shedded in the next menstrual cycle. So this is how scientifically or medically the vital fluid works. If you are asking a little bit on the spiritual side, as I said, the vital fluid is the one which is stored in the seminal vesicle. If a person is following celibacy or controlled ejaculation or restricted ejaculation, there is no need for so much of vital fluids in the seminal vesicle part. So there is more energy available in the pelvic nerves and the lymphatic channels, or if you are following the Maharishi's words like nadis. And so when we are using the Kayakalpa, the nadis and the vagus nerve and the parasympathetic plexus will take the energy into the higher chakras. I am mixing up the actual science words into the Vedanta concepts, but you can take whichever is applicable for that. Science is not explaining what is explained by the Maharishi directly word by word, but we can extrapolate, and some more research needs to be happened to what they will say, like complete the circle.
Thank you, Aya. Why, Ananda?
It's what about
Yes, Aya.
Just I would like.
Can I ask one more question?
Yes.
So, right.
Yeah, Sanmugal sir. Now you can continue, sir. Sanmugal sir, please.
Because now what they are asking is how the seven is unique, because it is responsible for the sexual multiplication. all the multiplication which are taking place in our body are asexual multiplication. And the sexual multiplication is unique to the ovum and the semen. What part or what the science behind the semen and ovum to get this unique feature? Is there any scientific explanation for this?
Yes, sir. That is much more straightforward. Thank you, Dr. Shamuga Vadivel, sir. The main difference between the ovum and the testes production of semen or ovum, from the ovary produces ovum, the testis produces semen. The main difference is the chromosomes are half. It is not
That is,
due. Sorry, sir. The, the
yes, yes,
chro-
that's okay. But what is the sign? Which stimulation which gives this unique character to the ovum and the sperm? Is there any scientific background? Because they are capable of producing another life itself. So where this new life starts at the genetic level, is there any explanation?
yes, sir. I
We
can
know.
yeah,
Yes, 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 please.
okay, sir. So I can explain this to certain extent with the medicine and scientific explanation, and I can also explain this from the background of the Vedas, because as I said, reading Veda book is one of my very favorite hobby, and I have learned a lot through that. So, being doctors, we clearly understand that ovary produces ovum and testis produces semen or sperms in particular, and they all have only half of the DNA. So, when the ovum and the sperm joins, it forms the complete duplex of the DNA, from which a single cell can become like a two cell, and then morula formation, blastoma formation. We know the embryology of that. So, this is very clear. So, where is the life? So, as I
Yeah,
said,
yes,
yeah,
that's right.
yes, sir. So, as I said, again, we can get help from our three bodies which we discussed: physical body, subtle body, and the causal body. So, physical body is formed from that single cell. All of us are formed from single cell. So, the single cell becomes multiple cell, the physical body is formed. So, at which point the subtle body get attaches to the or assigned to the physical body. In Veda itself, there are two separate concepts. I will explain both the concepts and I will let you know which I feel is more correct. If you this has a lot of legal implications also. So this idea is very important in deciding what is the correct legal limit for the abortions. So we different countries have different rules. I don't know exactly what is the weeks within which the abortion is legal in India. There are some countries where the abortion is illegal anytime. There are some countries where the first 16 weeks the abortion is not illegal. After 16 weeks, they believe that the subtle body, I say subtle body is getting attached to the physical body, but they say that the life is formed, etc. So the physical body as such, the heart rate and the circulations, everything starts much more early. So one thing is very clear: the physical body is not really much to do with the subtle body, which all will agree. So there are two periods in that life of the baby where the subtle body may get assigned to the fetus or the physical body. One is around 16 to 20 weeks intrauterine stage. அதாவது பெண் கருவுற்று இருக்கும் பொழுதே 16 to 20 weeks itself the subtle body is getting assigned. That is one concept. The other concept is till the child is born, it's only a physical body. At the time of birth, the subtle body is getting assigned, and that's why we, especially in Hindu community, there are a lot of things like they will create the word like teet and keep the pregnant lady away. Even the newborn time also, that mom and child is kept little bit away. Only selected people will visit the child, etc. But there are some children who have some problems in the third trimester. The child may get some congenital problems. So the child may get some physical handicap. So the child may born by premature, maybe resulting in death or maybe resulting in need for a neonatal ICU and very horrible or rather very challenging life. So if the subtle body or the life getting assigned only after birth, how these things are happening before birth? We clearly accepted few basic rules. Number one, physical body is just physical body. It's just like the computer which I'm using to speak. It is just like my mobile phone which I use to speak. So physical body is just physical body. Subtle body is the one where all the life, feelings, everything happens, where karma, everything happens. The causal body is the one absolute bliss. That's what we want to get associated during meditation so that we are not disturbed by this subtle body. So it's quite clear that even though Vedas speak two separate concepts, that the subtle body get attached to the newborn baby at the time of birth or the subtle body get attached at the time of 16 weeks, I believe that 16 weeks is the one which makes more sense, because usually any intrauterine problem starts only after that. That's why we do like a screening for congenital malformation, etc. So for your question, sir, if you ask me at what stage the life, the so-called life, gets into that just living cell division stage, I will say 16 weeks. That stage is the one that body getting assigned to the particular subtle body, and so all the karmas, the to-do list for that particular life starts from there. வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sanmuel sir, is it all right? Or you want any more things? Sanmuel sir?
Just a little dispute is there.
Yes.
It may take time, I thought. So just I will explain, Namseren.
Yes, sir.
Because now you said it is 16 weeks, but I'm doing sonology also. In one of the conferences they were showing, when the multiple embryos are there, they want to selective embryos. If 3 or 4, they want to kill 2 embryos, so only 1 embryo will grow. At that time, when they try to prick that embryo, you can see that embryo is running away from the needle. At that time, the sonologist was weeping. This job I should not have done, and I am hating to do that. So he says, I am killing a person at the embryo level itself. That is the 4th week or 5th week. So that time itself, the embryo can understand they are going to attack them, and it is running away from the needle to all the corners of the uterus. So we should shift our this thing from 16 weeks to the first week itself. That's what I feel. But these are all disputed things. Let us not waste here. Let us go for the next topic. Thank you, Dhamsendra.
Thank you, Dr. Shanmugavir, sir. I mean, I entirely agree with your view, because during my MBBS career, I spent some time in the Sono scans in Chennai. You may know that's one of the very famous center for the in vitro fertilization. And whenever we have in vitro fertilization, because of the insemination and the hormone stimulation, there will be multiple embryos, and they will try to in fact, with the scan, they will try to destroy the embryo which is as worse looking or something like that. But all the 4 embryos will be having a heartbeat. You can see them in the Doppler. But it's very difficult to say that whether they will inject alcohol. I don't know what is the present practice. So with a needle, if you go near the cell, whether the cell really recognizes the needle and goes away, or is it just by the viscosity of the fluid, isn't it? So if you have a jar of like blueberry juice or something like that, if you put a straw, sometimes the blueberry seeds or some seeds can get attracted to the straw or get repulsed and going to the surface of the away from the straw. So the viscosity comes into play. So the concept that 5 weeks time that embryo which is like a 3 or 5 celled or 10 celled is able to recognize the needle and going away is very difficult to accept for everyone. But concept wise, if the doctor feels bad, we feel bad for the doctor also. So we can speak only what is available in the literature, isn't it, sir? Madam.
Yes. Well,
Welcome, sir. It's a wonderful discussion going on, sir. So,
Dr. Anand, can you hear
the
me?
subtle body.
கேக்குதுமா?
Hello?
The physical body and the subtle body, you said the 4 week or 14 weeks in that way you're saying. The ovum and the semen, if they are only a living ovum and the living semen, they can fertilize and form a zygote. A dead ovum and a dead semen, that cannot form. So that means there itself the subtle body is there. You cannot separate there. So the ovum, which has a physical structure, which is a subtle structure also. The semen, which is a physical structure, subtle structure also. So there itself the union starts. It separately doesn't come at the 4th month or 5th month or 6th month or 10th month. So in the beginning of the conception itself, the subtle body combines there. I feel like that, sir. If you could offer some more opinion or interpretation over that.
Yes, sir.
yes, sir. That's why a lot of discussions will be there.
Yes, sir.
Perumal
sir.
Dr. Jayaprakash has raised his hand. I request Dr. Jayaprakash to unmute.
Gandhi, please wait. Let them answer it.
Okay.
Yeah. I will just answer to Professor Perumal's concept. I mean, we can extrapolate this and we can even take it to the individual semen and ovary, as you said, sir, that they have life. And the subtle body comes into play when the tissues are becoming absolutely individually viable. So if you are taking that the sperm and the ovum itself, even before they fertilize, they have subtle body, means it is impossible. So at the time of the fertilization, when it forms the first single cell, if we take that the subtle body is getting assigned to it, we can accept it. There is nothing wrong in it. So from the first cell onwards, the subtle body is there. So it has its own to-do list. It has its own even death day and life. Everything is there. And from that stage onwards, the subtle body is growing with the physical body. It is making sense. It is acceptable. But if you talk medico-legally, then we can't. There won't be any abortion. Every abortion is a killing one live human being, isn't it? So that's why if you discuss medically, they will try to find a time before which the abortion is not considered as a murder in literally, and so the cells were not really associated. And in Vedandam also this is discussed. That's why I brought that 14 to 16 weeks cutoff, where they said that at that point only the subtle body getting attached to that physical body. This is from Vedandam. Sir.
Okay, sir. Very nice, sir. Because the abortion at the 4th month, 5th month, 6 months, that makes more problem for the mother. At the early stage, the problem for the mother is less, and the month increases, more problem for the mother. I think maybe in that way might have considered the 4th month or 6 months, maybe, because it's the mother becomes more problematic of 4th month, 5th month, or 6 months. Might be, maybe that may be a reason or something else. Okay, all right, sir, you've given some inputs, but what I feel is from the conception second itself, that physical body and subtle body, they combine, they make everything. So even 5th day or 6th day, wherever you get aborted, you are killing a life.
Accepted,
there's no
sir.
doubt. But at the same time, we got to see the reality also. So if people cannot have some 5 children or 10 children that way, so the family planning and it should be also followed that. So we want to find a way in which how it can be done safely without affecting the mother. At the same time, the population should also increase. That way we would plan for it, sir. Very nice answer, sir. Now, Dr. Jay Prakash, another giant from UK. he is waiting here. So now, Dr. Jay Prakash, it is your time. You can now interact, sir. சாந்தி ஜெயபிரகாஷ் சார் பேச சொல்லுங்கப்பா. சாந்தி.
ஓகே சார். வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
வாழ்க வளமுடன் ஐயா. வாழ்க வல்கியம், வாழ்க வளமுடன். It was a very interesting topic today. It's been discussed very nicely by Doctor, and also it's very important that I like to share few ideas or few knowledge I gathered from Maharishi. This topic Maharishi clearly sort of gave us in a very clear way. The subtle body or the Sanchita karma or Prapta karma, it goes like a little recorded tape, and then recorded tape goes into the ovum or the embryo. Immediately when the conception starts, the recorded tape of the Prapta karma goes into the conception of the Graafian follicle. That means there is no time limit. As soon as the fertilization occurs, the recorded tape of Prapta karma goes into that the Graafian follicle or the things, so that the physical body and subtle body grow together or work together from the day one of conception. So there is no way there is a different dates or anything. You can say scientifically many things, but the Prapta karma goes into the fertilized ovum on the day one of the conception occurs. How nicely Swamiji explained, one soul float as a recorded tape in the cosmic energy, go straight into that. So I always believe in the physical body always exists with the subtle body from the day one of conception. And plus, again, coming to the sexual vital fluid, my understanding or gathering, you cannot put sexual vital fluid purely as a part of the physical body. Sexual vital fluid is part and part of the physical as well as subtle body. Without subtle body, sexual vital fluid does not exist because it's a form of energy. It is not form as just a fluid in the semen or in the secretion of the ovary. So sexual vital fluid, I feel, is a part and part of the subtle body as well as the physical body, combination of flow from the subtle body to physical body. If you separate the sexual vital fluid only as a physical body, you cannot explain the biomagnetism energy in the right direction. So I feel sexual vital fluid is a combination of subtle and physical body working together as a unit rather than splitting together as a separate unit.
Thank you very much, sir. That explains, that makes my job more easy also. Thank you for that. For your first explanation, yeah, I'm very happy to agree with that. The subtle body assigns to the physical body in the first cell stage itself. That's what Professor Perumal also mentioned. I'm happy to agree with that. But I will try to point what is present in the Vedantam also, because if somebody has to write like a descriptive essay on that, they should explain it in this manner rather than explaining only the one concept. So that is a very nice point. And understanding that the sexual vital fluid belongs to the subtle body in the form of a energy makes everything more easy. So we don't have to really split our hair to see is the semen is important, is the semen is converted into the sexual vital fluid and cerebrospinal fluid. So everything related to the physical body we can keep aside. So there is no need to differentiate even between male and female, and we can say that sexual vital fluid is a part of biomagnetic energy in the subtle body, and by Kayakalpa we are raising that from lower chakras to upper chakras. That makes the explanation more clear. But in this talk I want to relate or explain as much as possible with the physical body or the medical side of it, because my aim is tomorrow in the Sky Yoga, UK Yoga at least, if you are explaining this Kayakalpa to a group of Westerners, how we can explain that? If I explain only with the help of the subtle body, then they need to believe. There is a difference between believing and understanding. So I'm just trying to find in which way we can use the existing medical science to make them understand also. But if we take it as a biomedical biomagnetism in the subtle body, that makes the job of explanation very easy. And that's why I think this, even this sexual vital fluid, if I'm correct, even in our Sky Yoga practice itself, a few years back, slowly we started stopping using the term sexual vital fluid because it's a misnomer. It is nothing to do with the semen or ovum, and it is not a fluid because it is an energy. So it's better to, they have even stopped or advised the, I've heard some of the masters saying like, it better not to use the word. So I entirely agree with your second concept that it's a biomagnetism, bioenergy available in the subtle body and also in the physical body, or manifesting in the physical body also. வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
Thank you, Arya. வாழ்க வளமுடன். I think Mangai madam has some questions.
Yes.
Ma'am, kindly you can ask.
Dr. Ananda, thanks for using only one Tamil word. So my question is not about the Kayakalpa stuff, but the initial slides. And this is an open question. I think Dr. Perumal can also answer it. So scientists say the Big Bang theory, that's how the universe was created, and because the universe is expanding. How does that correlate with the static absolute space?
If we see this Big Bang theory, the static absolute space is the one which is demonstrated as black color here. In our Vedantam practice or Vedantini Maharishi practice, we call it as Shivakalam, which is absolute place. In fact, Vedantini Maharishi used to explain it as a Parampurul with Puranam and Meyyarivu and Meinyanam. Those are the three terms he used to explain this absolute Shivakalam or the static space. It is static, but it is brimming with energy. It has got all the intelligence to produce not just one earth or planet, to produce the whole stream of galaxies. And once this static space got that quantum fluctuation, then it forms the series of Big Bang. The Big Bang may have happened not necessarily in this angle, it's just a pictorial representation. It may have happened in this way or this way, 360 degrees, anywhere the Big Bang may have happened. And this same phenomenon is happening in multiple places in the static phase. So that's why we get the question of multiverse also. And in one place, for example, if you take our universe, it is now 13.77 billion years back. But there may be another universe which is just 1 billion years back, 1 billion years old. So there may be another one which may be like 200 billion years old. So that's how the static phase is converted by these quantum fluctuations into the active phase. In our meditation practice, we call it as a Shakti Kalam.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
Mangai வாழ்க வளமுடன், you put a very good question, but it diverts to physics instead of going for our vital fluid discussion. The Big Bang theory is mostly accepted by all the scientists, but we cannot say it is 10% correct. We will take all the positive aspects from the Big Bang theory and use it for our explanation. But even the Big Bang theory may be modified later on, and the scientists are working more on that also. But whatever available there, we will take it because we don't have any other theory right now accepted by all the scientists. That's why we are having that. But according to Samuji, the space itself gets converted into dust particles Later on, the dust particles, they accumulate to form the Vedans, and the continuity is there. So Swamiji's theory, which we call as evolution theory, which differs a little bit from the Big Bang theory. The Big Bang theory, they said it occurred some 14 billion years ago. But according to the evolution theory, that particles are evolved continuously, not 14 billion years, and it is evolving continuously. It's a continuous process in that way it's going on there. So we will have a separate discussion on this Big Bang concept. I think now, today, we will be concentrating only more on this, the Kayakalpa and the vital fluid.
Oh. Thank you, sir.
Valhavalamudan, sir. I request Dr. Sutanta Devi ma'am to give her inputs.
Valhavalamudan.
Madam, please continue, madam. Now we are all expecting you to say something. Solunga, madam.
Okay. Thank you, sir. First to Dr. Ananda Kumar. Doctor, it was a very good presentation and a very illustrative slides also, and thank you for that. And we are very happy that you have joined this forum. And your explanation of karma and the three bodies and the Kayakalpa was very good. Actually, what you said was if you had bad karma, your lower chakras only will be activated. And then as you evolve, you get the higher, as you get more energy, and you evolve, you get higher chakras are open. So Swamiji also has said, Vilangina Padivugal. So when we are born as in the beginning, we have only the animal instincts in us. That is security, food, and reproduction. So that is Mooladhara Chakra and Swadhisthana Chakra. Only those two are active. So, but as you evolve with your own free will, then you do the good things and then you read and spiritual side of it comes up. Then you want a mice power, that is Manipura Chakra. And only when you come to the Anahata, you get the compassion, the love, and helping people, all those things. And only when you go beyond that, then the other higher chakras open. That is also very correct. My Guru Swami Satyananda Saraswati has also told the same thing. That is, everyone will evolve naturally, but the pace will be very slow, and like traveling in a bullock cart. But yoga hastens the speed, like taking a car or a plane, or the highest spiritual practices are like taking a rocket so that you reach the higher chakras even in one lifetime or two lifetimes. And even in Vaishnava tradition, Nammalvar has said, Vaigundam Puguvadu Mannavar Vidiye. It is a destiny to reach the top, to reach the Suttavali or Vaikundam, they called it in Vaishnava tradition. So it is for everyone, but yoga accelerates the pace of it. So that's what you said, I really appreciate. And one small comment I want to make, you said Kegel's exercise is Ashwini Mudra, but I think Kegel's is Vajroli Mudra, that is contraction of the urethral sphincter. But Ashwini and Moola Bandha are little two different things, and we have had a lot of discussion on this one before. So that one, I just want to make a point on that. And of course, the Vegas now you explained very well. And Dr. Shanmugavellu has taken one full class for 3 hours on vagus nerve and all those things. We've had 2-3 sessions on that. And of course, we all know that yoga is one process by which the parasympathetic nervous system is activated. And that is why yoga scores over every other system. Because as doctors, we know that the sympathetic response is instantaneous to come in, but then it only subsides very slowly. And the parasympathetic nervous system does not start on its own. It starts only when the sympathetic system slows down. So that is, and there's no other technique by which you can activate the parasympathetic system. But yogic practices like Ashwini Mudra, Moola Bandha, Jalandhara Bandha, and then all Jalandhara Bandha brings in the vagal input. And that is how every practice of breathing or the yoga, the bandhas, the mudras, all that activate the parasympathetic nervous system that we have also discussed with this thing. But you have put in very good slides. And I also appreciate that you have clarified that the CSF has no connection with this semen. That's a very good thing. Everybody should understand, because there are a lot of misconceptions on that. And then another point that you said was the ejaculation restriction increases your energy, because the semen contains a lot of thing and energy, lot of energy. So accumulation causes increase in energy, increase in biomagnetism for higher chakras, you said. And that's one small point in this group we have to clarify, whether vital fluid is equal to semen. That point we still, we are not very much confident to put it across to the medical world or whatever it is. So we have to discuss this. I think Dr. Rabindranath also will agree that we should discuss a little more on that point. And of course, like vital fluid being like liquid and a gas, I always give the experience of, explanation of the LPG. We have an LPG cylinder. You have a liquid petroleum in that. But when you open the valve, it comes out not as a liquid, but as a gas. And then when it goes up and reaches the higher places, then it becomes the light and heat, or the energy, the pure energy. So that's a very good thing, because when the Sapta Dhatus are formed, they all came from the prana only. Everything came from the prana. And then the prana went into the plants and animals and everything. And then we ate that and we assimilated, apart from the protein, carbohydrate, and fat, we accumulated the prana also. And then these Sapta Dhatus are formed from the physical aspects of the prana. That is the muscle, the blood, the rasa, rakta, muscle, fat, everything is the physical aspects of it. But the prana is the spiritual aspect of it, or the subtle aspect of it. And that is what is called the ojas. And we are taking the ojas up to the Sahasrara, up the Sushumna Nadi. When we do a ojas breath, we are taking this ojas, and that is a condensed form of energy, or what Swamiji calls a biomagnetism. So that is also what I used to say in the previous lectures, and you have also corroborated it. Thank you for that. And then the discussion about the 16 weeks or 20 weeks when life comes in, that's a really big question. Dr. Jayaprakash also has given his view, and Dr. Shanmugavel has given his interesting observation about how even at one cell or few cell level, the embryo tries to survive. Survival instinct is the first instinct in us. So that is a very nice observation that he made. Otherwise, your speech was very good. Only thing is about this vital fluid, I think doctors should sit and talk and then come to a conclusion is how to put it on to the general public, because I'm not very comfortable with the vital fluid and semen equation, though all the siddhas, everybody talks about the ejaculation restriction. Further, I think. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much, madam. வாழ்க வளமுடன். Very nice summary of whatever we have discussed. I will just pick two of these and give my further views. Regarding the Ashwini Mudra, even though I agree with you that Ashwini Mudra is more to do, Kegel's exercise is more to do with the urethra. When we teach the Kegel's exercise, the only way by which that woman can perform is by doing the Ashwini Mudra, because we can't voluntarily constrict only the external urethral sphincter in a very comfortable and strong manner. While if they do the anal sphincter, automatically the urethral sphincter will also get strengthened, and that's why even in the Kegel's exercise, especially in UK, the continence team, they will teach the Ashwini Mudra so that the other mudra happens automatically. And regarding the sexual vital fluid, again, I will be very happy if we remove the terms like sexual and fluid from that, because in my view there is no fluid. In my views, it has nothing to do with semen. So like how I mentioned about the cerebrospinal fluid has nothing to do with this whole Kayakalpa concept. In future, if we all sit and discuss and decide that the seminal fluid has nothing to do with the Kayakalpa concept, it is the vital energy which is taken by the maybe like a lymph or nerves, or if you just stick to the subtle body, we don't have to depend on the physical body like vagus nerve or lymphatics or anything. We can still say there are nadis, 108 nadis or 108 nadis and multiple small nadis which can take the energy, and we can clearly explain it just by the subtle body itself. But in this talk, I really struggled a lot to match that with what is happening in the physical body also. So I will be absolutely happy if we remove the term sexual vital fluid from the whole equation. The only thing which has the correct meaning is the vital, which we can label it as biomagnetism or universal energy or biomagnetism energy also. Thank you very much, madam. வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
Olga Valamran, sir. Of course, medically you can say Kegels when you teach the in Ashwini Mudra also. But yogically, there are three different things. One is contraction of the anal sphincter is Ashwini Mudra. Contraction of the pelvic floor or the perineal body is Mula Bandha. And contraction of the urethral sphincter is called Vajroli Mudra in men and Sahajoli Mudra in women. So there are three different things, and you can do all the three separately. That's how we were taught. And of course, when you in certain postures, like taking the hip up Kandarasan, you do all the three together so that the pelvic floor comes forward, inwards, and then the effect is much more than doing each one separately. That is also there. I mean, medically, of course, you can just do, but yogically, I wanted to say there's a subtle difference. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Very useful explanation.
Interaction going on, and another nice discussion is going on there. Actually, the fluid, the common meaning in physics is for liquid, gas, and energy, a common word is fluid. Even for liquid, you can say gas, you can say, and for energy, anything which flows, then the word fluid can be attached to that. Maybe a liquid, maybe a gas, maybe an energy. Even the energy flow also, then you can bring it to the fluid also. So I think because Dr. Sundaram told that we will have a separate meeting only with the vital fluid, how it can be discussed. I think we will have a separate meeting, and we will discuss in depth about that also later on, sir. With all your help and coordination, we will fix another date. At least the doctors and those who are specifically interested in this topic only, we will have some 5 to 6 people and sit together and discuss over that. Madam, shall we do like that one day, madam?
Yeah. Actually, Dr. Rabindranath said he'll do it in the near future. But maybe next week or so. After this 20th, he said we'll meet.
Yeah. Doctor,
Today he's not there? Today he's not there?
He is not there. He's not here.
Okay.
So we will discuss with him and have another date, and we will have only the topic, and we will discuss and come to some conclusion.
Yeah, in Tamil, Swamiji has given a very nice word for it, paimam. Paimam is the word he has given for fluid.
Yeah, paimam is fluidity.
Yeah. So that means it can go anywhere. Inge venna payam. That is, it can go through substances, solids, thing, everything. So that is, he's given that nice word he has given.
Thank you, sir. வாழ்க
வளமுடன். Now the time for the participants to ask their questions.
Participants,
callers,
unmute பண்ணி பேச சொல்லு, கேட்க சொல்லு.
Participants, நீங்க உங்களுக்கு ஏதாவது டவுட் இருந்ததுன்னா you can unmute and speak. Otherwise, you can raise your hand, but we can unmute you.
ரெண்டு பேர் ரைஸ் பண்ணிருக்காங்க பாருங்க.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, Vipin Kumar, you can
Yeah. Sir, I would like to ask the question regarding the Kayakalpa in connection with Kegel exercise.
So first you introduce yourself, Vipin Kumar.
Yeah. So I'm Vipin Kumar from Vedadri Maharishi College of Yoga in Chennai. So I'm second year MSc student.
Please continue.
Okay, sir. So, sir, if we are doing the Kegel exercise, like different people will be having different level of pelvic floor strength. So the Kayakalpa has a standardized format, like 70 stroke minimum, like in a day. But what do you think if it is like overdoing of Kegel?
Okay, Vipin Kumar.
So
Good
is
question.
there any chance for injury like that?
Yeah, good question. Overdoing in the sense our skeletal muscles has got its own fatigue. So you can't overdo beyond a limit. Say for example, if I take dumbbells and if I take like 50 dumbbells push or 100 dumbbells push, it will strengthen my biceps. And at one point, my biceps will get fatigued and I can't do any more. So at that point, automatically I can't even lift the dumbbells, the same dumbbells which I have done 100 or 200, I can't even lift it because the muscle has got into fatigue. The same thing happens. So by overdoing, the muscle will get fatigued. That is number one. Number two, you correctly said different people will have different strength. Somebody may have a weak pelvic floor muscle, somebody may have a strong pelvic floor muscle. But as the person continuously, meticulously follow it 3 times a day before taking any food, follow the exact regimen, the muscles will get slowly will get strengthened. Again, it's very individual. For some men or women, it can get into a very good strength. For some men or women, based upon their background and previous, say for in women vaginal delivery, it will get strengthened only to certain extent. I think the exercise itself will not give a very big side effect or too much of harm. But when they combine the Ashwini Mudra with the Kayakalpa process, the side effects like too much of biomagnetism in the head causing headache or giddiness can happen. And that's why Swamiji has given us the clearance meditation and the Friday Shanti meditation to make sure that we create a nice equilibrium. வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Vipin Kumar. And the other participants, no doubt. Now, Shubha, you unmute yourself and speak. Unmute, ma. I have given a request.
வாழ்க வளமுடன். Are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma. You introduce yourself.
Yeah. So I'm also a student of Vedadri Maharishi College of Yoga. I'm doing my MSc. So Ananda sir, you were explaining about the importance of bhavane during Kayakalpa. So I would like to understand this further. How do we explain this scientifically? Because not only Kayakalpa, even our simplified physical exercise, I feel there is a lot of difference when we do it with bhavane and rather than simply moving our hands and legs. There is more effect when we do it with this bhavane or sankalpam. As compared to other exercises like cardio exercise or any high intensity workout where there is no mention of bhavane. So how do we explain this scientifically, sir?
Very nice question, Shubha. That's why I have given you that example from the Tamil film showing that even though in physical body, if there is a handicap, the subtle body is full. For a person who lost the limb in the motorcycle accident, it will take weeks or months for the subtle body to understand the absence of the right lower limb. And till then, that subtle body behaves or accepts that the leg is still there. That's where that phantom limb pain comes. Similarly, I will take an example from something outside Kayakalpa. Take our Maharishi's simplified Kundalini, simplified exercises. Say there is a simplified exercise where a person needs to hold the hand and then move completely towards the right and completely towards the left, which we all do. If a person is not able to do because of some back pain or back sprain, and he can move only to some direction while he needs to move into more direction, for he needs to do the physical exercise to the extent possible, and he needs to do that feeling or bhavana that he is doing it fully. By doing that, even though the physical body is handicapped only to that range of motion, because of the bhavana and that focused assumption, his subtle body will go to the full extent. And biomagnetism, as we discussed again and again, is only in the subtle body. So you still get the same good effect of the biomagnetism by that focused assumption that you are doing a full motion. Similarly, even outside our Maharishi's principle, say Surya Namaskar or something, where if you can't do a specific position fully, you believe that you are doing that full arc. And similarly, for Kayakalpa also, you need to feel that the energy is going, not just rising from the pelvis and then appearing in the agna, not like that. It is going step by step. You should see like a live movie, and then in ojas you should feel that live, as if something like a color of some orange or some color is spreading from your ojas into the whole body and going up to the tip. That bhavana will help you to understand the working of the stula sarira. So that is very important. The subtle body is the one helps us with the bhavana. So that's where I said that the focused assumption that the energy flow is very important, because now the discussion has gone to the level that the physical body is useless. It is just made up of the Panchabuddhas. It's going to born and die and gone. So our main focus is on only on the subtle body, how to make it pure, how to make it energetic, how to improve the biomagnetism, how to free it from karma, how to keep it at higher level compared to the lower level. So all the more reason the focused assumption bhavana is very important in all the exercises, especially the Kayakalpa. வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
Can I comment?
Yes, madam.
Ma'am, yes, ma'am.
Please, madam. Please, madam. Please continue, madam.
Okay. It's a nice question that you've asked. See, this is what is the difference between exercise and yoga. And yoga, what do you mean by yoga? Everybody knows that it is union. Union of what? Whenever you say union, there should be two things. So it's the union of body and mind. That is what today we are talking. Body mind is gaining more importance even across the allopathic medical this thing. But what is connecting the body and the mind is the energy body. We have the Annamaya Kosha, the physical body, or the Pranamaya Kosha is the energy body, and Manomaya Kosha is the mind body or mind. So that is why when you do yoga, any posture or anything, Swamiji will say, just for folding your fingers like this can be exercise. But if you start the movement with your breath and you finish the movement with your breath, when you inspire or expire, and that means you're putting your whole mind into it. So that is what he say is yoga. So even just moving your fingers like this can become yoga when you put your body, your mind, and when these two are combined, the energy also, it connects the two. So that's why in all the Eastern cultures like Tai Chi and Qigong, also the same thing. When you move your hand, your eyes should go to the hand and your energy will go. Wherever your mind goes, the energy also goes. That is the basis for the Eastern philosophy. In Bharatanatyam also, they will say, when you move your hand, your eyes should go to that moment, to that finger, to that part of the body. So the same thing, so because when the mind and body unite, definitely the energy body is the one that's enabling it. The energy body will get enhanced And that is why yoga scores over all the other systems of exercise. Thank you. Valga Valammudan.
Very nice point,
Thank
madam.
you, Doctor.
I will just add one
Thank you.
point to what madam said, and coordinating the inspiration and expiration with the movement. The one small thing which we can add is any posture where we are expanding, you should inspire. Any posture where
Yes.
you are constricting or bending, you should expire. Because the Sthula Sariram, if I'm just sitting here and if I just inspire and expire, the Sthulam Sariram is opening up and then constricting up. If somebody has got that special camera to measure the aura of the body. So whenever in any position, the simple rule is if you are constricting your body to a position, expire. If you are expanding a joint, inspire. That coordination will further improve the practice.
Yeah, when the head comes forwards, it's expiration. When the head goes backwards, it's inspiration. In Surya Namaskar, the sequence comes very well.
Yes, madam.
Thank you, Doctor. Very nice explanation.
Valga Valammudan. Anybody can raise their question. If you have any doubt, you can ask.
Shanti madam, there is a question in the
Yes,
chat box. They say how to stop the energy during Kayakalpa at Agna and not going above Turiya or Turyadinam. It is again by practice. If you are practicing the Agna meditation for months and years, you know how to focus it on the Agna. Because as I showed you, the Ida and Pingala and Sushumna join together at Agna. So there is, during the Kayakalpa, there is no real reason for energy to go above. They say Agna meditation up to that will strengthen the body. Turiya meditation will strengthen the subtle body, while Turiya Dinam will take you to the causal body. Similarly, Agna meditation will stop you from doing the Agarmya karma. Those who are very good in Agna meditation, they won't do any bad things. And those who are good in the Turiya meditation, it will free you from the Sanchita karma and Prarabdha karma. Prarabdha karma is the Turiya, where you have come with a baggage. While if you are able to meditate up to the Turiya Dinam, you are free even from the Sanchita karma. So there is no need for the subtle body to born again. So that's where we result in Maranamila Peruvalvu. There is no birth, and that complete coordination and joining with the causal body and complete bliss. That's what the yogis try. So as far as the Kayakalpa is concerned, Kayam means body and Kalpam means getting it stronger and with many ages. So as long as the Kayakalpa is concerned, our aim is to strengthen the living body. That's why we try to stop at Agna, which is possible by practice.
Yes, you're correct, Doctor. Because Ida and Pingala stop at Agnya. And Swamiji has always said, this is Kayakalpa is one practice where you increase your energy of the body. So that's what you said. And Sushumna is the one that pierces the Agnya and goes up to the Sahasrara. So there are other practices whereby you raise your Kundalini from the Mooladhara up to the Sushumna, that is piercing the Agnya. And those are the other practices which goes up to the Bindu Chakra. And Bindu secretes what is called, actually in yogic terminology, the Kayakalpa practice is described in a little different way, where you open the Sushumna, because when Ida and Pingala are flowing equally, only the Sushumna Nadi opens, otherwise it is closed. So there are practices, that is why Ashwini Mudra and other practices are there to practice to balance the Ida and Pingala, that is the sympathetic and parasympathetic system, so that your central brain, the cortex will work. That means Sushumna Nadi will open and the energy will go up to the Bindu Chakra. And Bindu then secretes what is called an Amrit or the nectar. And thus Amrit comes when, that is why by Kechari Mudra you stimulate the Amrit and then you stop it at the Vishuddhi Chakra, to not go beyond the Vishuddhi. And that is how you get immortality. That is what yoga says about this Kayakalpa practice, a little variation of that. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Shanti madam, there is a question in the chat box which says how the disease can be prevented by this practice. They have specifically asked about the psychological conditions. Psychological conditions is entirely different ball game. So what I mean is psychological conditions may be the problem present in the subtle body itself. So physically a person has a strong head, body, eyes, ear, nose, everything is fine, but feeling the depression, hallucination, they're all happening in the subtle body. So person who has the psychological problems doing these kind of yogas which move the energy in the subtle, they have to be very careful. It has to happen only under the medical supervision. For other diseases like diabetes, hypertension, body weight, our practices, I clearly explained how this practice goes hands in hand with fasting and appropriate ejaculation. And if you practice everything, the whole metabolic syndrome can be completely cured. It takes time, it takes belief and practice. So psychology is entirely different. They have to be very careful in the practice. In fact, there is a possibility that psychological problems can get worsen if they are doing unsupervised Kayakalpa yoga, etc.
Yeah, what doctor says is correct. In psychological people, you have to do it under supervision and with an expert person who knows about this. But according to yoga, depression and all psychological problems are due to decreased prana or the negative prana. See, prana is energy. We know prana is energy. So energy is required for physical function and also for mental functions. So if you have only enough prana for your physical functions, your mental functions suffer. So when you increase your prana by doing Kayakalpa, another thing, when the physical body has more energy, your mind also gets more energy, and this negative prana becomes balanced, and then you can come out. That is why even just doing exercise or some dance or some things, for the psychological patients, it helps. So, but overdoing it, like a lot of spiritual practices which increase excessive energy, or for schizophrenic patients or depressive patients, if you make them meditate, they'll become more introverted and they become more problematic. So for those people, you need to have physical exercises and dances, bhajans, things like that. And for all the hyperactive people, to calm them down, you have to go into meditative practices and pranayama like that. So that they really need supervision, like you said.
Nice point, madam. In fact, that is why it is very important to start these exercises and yogic practices at the youngest age possible. And Maharishi has clearly given that when a girl attains the maturity, maybe at 14 years, and similarly for a boy who has the voice get broken, and at the time, if they start doing at that time, because most of the problems of this depression, mania, they manifest slightly at the later stage. So they are preparing their physical body and subtle body with enough prana and energy. So number one, the disease may not happen. Number two, even if it happens, it will happen at a very low scale and it is easily curable. So that's why it's very important to start this at a very early stage rather than allowing a disease to happen and then making the disease itself as a reason for not performing the yogic practices to the optimal level. It's like the story of the diabetic patients who becoming obese, and because of obesity his diabetic becomes uncontrolled. Because of uncontrolled diabetes he is becoming more obese. It's like a cycle. So if you are preparing to prevent the obesity from the starting onwards by appropriate fasting, etc., you won't get diabetes and you won't get obese also. So we can make the whole cycle to happen in the other way also. So everything goes hand in hand. It's very important to take this to the people at the appropriate correct young age itself.
And not only that, even psychological problems have a hormonal component in them. So by yoga, by correcting all the chakras, it corrects all the endocrine glands also, and it brings about the hormonal balance. So that way also it helps physically and mentally, and psychological problems also.
That's a very good point, madam. I can give one straight example itself. PCOD disease. PCOD disease has become so common. If you see the prevalence, its prevalence is always increasing from decade to decade. It is entirely because of the environmental and psychological issues. The PCOD results in excess secretion of testosterone, menstrual cycle getting disturbance, hair growth and hirsutism happens. So many things are happening. If there is a person who is genetically prone to have PCOD disease, if they start this Kayakalpa practice, of course, with other all other practices at the appropriate age, the PCOD can be completely prevented, and those things can be preventable rather than allowing PCOD to happen and then finding at a later stage with hormonal imbalance and infertility, etc.
Thank you, sir. Now, PhD scholar Tamre Chelvi has raised her hand. You can speak, ma.
Thank you, doctor, for that enlightening session. Actually, I want a clarification about the Ojas myth. That is this philosophy, as Madam Dr. Surendra Devi Madam also said, balance, balancing concept is a more primer or focused one, or we are rejuvenating and we are getting that purified ojas and spreading over our body and making that rejuvenation or purification happen. Since even the psychological impacts, as you spoke about, it all depends upon the balance, because yoga is nothing but balancing. And the basic principle behind this Kayakalpa is all these five principles: life force, body, biomagnetism, mind, and then sexual vital fluid. So all these five constituents have to be balancedly focused on to bring this Kayakalpa as a benefit for a mankind to convert their physical energy into the spiritual energy, where we are seeking our fitness as well as spiritual wisdom or something. So because the people are saying we are purifying, or we are increasing the quantity and quality. Is it increasing the quantity or quality, or is it balancing the hormones, or balancing the quantity and quality of the sexual fluid? Because people have a misconception of increasing, or because there is no word or increase or decrease. It is a balancing, isn't it? Kindly clarify on this, sir.
Nice question, madam. Balancing definitely happens. Balancing of hormones definitely happens. But if you are discussing at the level of the hormones, there won't be any increase, because if you want a man to have correct amount of testosterone, a woman to have correct amount of estrogen, so that is balancing. We don't want a man to get more testosterone or more estrogen, which can result in an imbalance and can cause same infertility problems on the other end of the spectrum. So these yogic practices creates balance in the body weight, in the heart rate, in the respiratory rate, in the hormones, in the mental equilibrium. Everything is getting balanced. There is no doubt in that. But at the same time, the Kayakalpa will increase your bioavailability of the energy at an appropriate chakra level, so that you can perform better. I usually tell one example commonly in our Sky UK yoga group. Previously, 5 years, 6 years back, when I'm doing the clinic, usually in my clinic I have like a 30 patients. So I will see 15 patients, and I will have like a 5 minutes break, maybe like a toilet break, or having a coffee, or doing something like checking an email, and then I will do the next 15 patients. Because at the end of the first 15 patients, I feel bit tired and I want to have a small break. I will tell the sister that don't send patients for next 5 minutes. I will call again, and then I feel better, and then I will finish the next 15 patients. But with this practice, at the end of the 30 patients also, you will feel as fresh as the first patient. There is no difference between the morning clinic and afternoon clinic. So that happens because of increased bioavailability of the energy, whatever we are having. Even that energy should not be too much in the Agna Chakra, that where the headache and giddiness happens. So we have to inform them about the Shanti meditation, Clarence meditation, etc. So there is a definite balance and there is a definite increase also.
Okay, but then it is a contradictory way of expressing the philosophy behind Kayakalpa. It seems that is, it increases the bio vitality and also it balances due to that functioning, isn't it? Sir? In that way, can we go for explanation? That is, it is increasing the biovitality, which brings the balance to maintain our freshness, as you said, after even the 30 sessions, whatever you have said in your research.
Yes, madam.
Can we take, because it is ultimately the balancing philosophy in everything. Even the increase happens because you are having that shortage of energy level. Kayakalpa brings that balance by improving your biovital. Can we go and say like this?
Yes, madam. You are correct, madam.
Because yeah, yeah. Thank you.
வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
Yes, madam. Yes, madam. Please.
இப்போ நம்ம வந்து ஒரு சின்ன இதை எடுத்துக்குவோம், எக்ஸாம்பிள் எடுத்துக்குவோம். நமக்கு வீட்டுல வரவுன்னு ஒண்ணு இருக்கு, செலவுன்னு ஒண்ணு இருக்கு இல்லையா?
ஆமா ஆமா.
வரவு நிறைய இருந்ததுன்னா செலவு நிறைய பண்ணலாம். ஓகே, அப்போ சேமிப்பு வந்து நிறைய ஆகும். ஸோ தட் இஸ் எக்ஸஸ் ஸ்டோரேஜ். வரவு கம்மியா இருந்துட்டு செலவு நிறைய பண்ணோம்னா that is excess wastage, and then you will get into கடன்ற வியாதி அப்படின்னு வச்சுக்கோம். இம்பேலன்ஸ் இல்லையா? இந்த மாதிரி ரெண்டும் பேலன்ஸா இருந்ததுன்னா இட் வில் பி a proper life, நிம்மதியா நல்லா இருக்கலாம். பட் சப்போசிங் உங்களுக்கு மாசம் 20,000 ரூபாய் சம்பளம் வருது அப்படின்னா 20,000 நீங்க வருது 20,000 செலவு பண்றீங்கன்னா அதுவும் பேலன்ஸ் தான். சப்போசிங் நீங்க 1,00,000 ரூபாய் வருது உங்களுக்கு வரவே, அந்த அளவுக்கு நீங்க வேலை பண்ணி சில பிராக்டிசஸ் பண்ணி 1,00,000 ரூபாய் மாசம் வந்துச்சுன்னா அதையும் பேலன்ஸ்டா நீங்க வரவு செலவு சரியா பண்ணீங்கன்னா அப்போ வாட் வில் பி த குவாலிட்டி ஆஃப் யுவர் லைஃப்? வாட் வில் பி த குவாலிட்டி ஆஃப் யுவர் உங்ககிட்ட
என்ரிச் தான் நீங்க சொல்ற என்ரிச்மென்ட் வரும் கண்டிப்பா.
So that is exactly what is happening. You increase the total sheen சொல்லுவோம். In TCM the prana is called she. So total நிறைய ஆகும்போது இன் அண்ட் yang வந்து பேலன்ஸ்டா இருந்துச்சுன்னா that is what is health. But in excess or yang excess ஆகும்போது that is disease. But ரெண்டும் டோட்டல் ஷீ நல்லா இருந்தா தான் இன் yang பேலன்ஸ் இருந்தாலுமே நல்லா இருக்கும். அதுதான் காயகல்பம் இஸ் அச்சீவிங்.
அதுக்கு தானே மேடம் இப்போ காயகல்பத்துக்குள்ள வந்து மகரிஷி வந்து அவருடைய அந்த ஃபைவ் லிமிட்ஸ் இதையும் கொண்டு வந்தாரு. அதுக்கப்புறம் நம்மளுடைய அத்தனை அந்த 5 பிலாசபிஸையும் கொண்டு வந்து இது அத்தனையும் வந்து இட் ஷுட் பி பேலன்ஸ்டு, தென் ஒன்லி whatever the benefits of Kayakalpa can be achieved, isn't it, madam?
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam. There are a couple of questions in the chat I wish to address. One of the question is there any increase of the sex urge in children with mental health problem like Down syndrome or Mongolian children? Yes, it is possible. Again, what happens in the people with those kind of syndromes, there will be more energy in the lower chakras, because if you speak from the Vedantam point of view, the subtle body has got the bad karmas. That's why they have this genetic problem, and so they want to keep the energy in the lower chakras. So indirectly they will have increased urge to have food. Even without having proper food, they will put on weight, increased urge to have sex, but they can't perform proper sex. That's the cruelty of the bad karmas in the subtle body. They will have increased urge, but they will never able to do a proper sex to satisfy the opposite partner, whether it's male or female. So that's where it happens. So definitely there is an increased urge, but it won't replicate into a proper healthy sexual way. The another question is on again on psychiatric patient, whether they can do meditation or not. Psychiatric patient can do the yogasanas, like our Maharishi's simplified exercises. Exercises are good with good correlation to the breath, but doing Kayakalpa and meditation is more subtle body oriented, so it has to be done in a very supervised manner. If properly used, they are like knife, double-edged knife. Properly used, a knife can be used to cut vegetables, cut fruits in a useful manner, or if it is used improperly without guidance, it can cut a person itself. So that is very important. Jayaprakash shared a fact about epigenetics. It's another very nice scientific field, which means which studies how much this genetic DNA material is plastic. Okay, we need to understand this word's plasticity, including the brain's plasticity. If you take a rubber band, it is elastic. So when you stretch it and leave it, it comes back to its original state. That is known as elasticity. If you take a plastic thing, it is not bendable, and even if you bend, it is still in the same state, or it will come back to the same. That is plasticity. So our brain is explained as a plastic one, so that if you do proper meditation, you can improve the neurons, you can improve the connections, you can improve the availability or the possibility of the later Alzheimer's disease can be prevented. They say even in your gene, the end part known as telomere, every time a cell divides, a small amount of telomere will be sacrificed. By this meditation practice, you can increase the length of the telomere so that a cell can divide multiple times into the longer time, so that the ultimate, the Rishi's words that a person can live healthy till 120 years without any problem can be easily achieved. So epigenetics has a very big role. Some things are proven quite clearly with this elongation of telomeres and better neural connections, and a lot of things are in the pipeline, and we will certainly see in the future. வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
வாழ்க வளமுடன். Thank you, Doctor. I have a I request Perumal Ayya to fix the topic for the next seminar.
Yeah, we will fix the topic, ma. By which Sundar has raised the hand. Shall we ask him to ask?
வாழ்க வளமுடன் ஐயா. பெருமல் ஐயா, ஐயா ஒரு டவுட்டுங்க ஐயா.
ப்ளீஸ்.
ஆக்சுவலா வந்து நான் அருள்நிதி ஐயா, அருள்நிதி 95 முடிச்சிருக்கேன். இதுல இருந்தாங்க என்னோட டவுட் என்னன்னா, நானும் டாக்டர் தான், அனாட்டமிஸ்ட். என்னோட டவுட் என்னன்னா, psychiatric patient can do meditation or not? Because ஆர்கினில பண்ணும்போது நம்ம வந்து பிலோ ஆல்ஃபா வரும், ஆல்ஃபாவே கீழே வரும். துரியம் போகும்போது டெல்டா தீட்டா அந்த இதுல போகுது. நம்ம இப்போ வந்து நம்ம சைக்காட்ரிக் தட் மீன்ஸ் ஆங்ஸைட்டி ஆர் டிப்ரெஷன் வாட் எவர் இட் இஸ், ஃப்ரீக்வன்சி வந்து நம்ம அபவ் பீட்டா வேவ்ல தான் இருக்கு, அபவ் 14 தான் இருக்கு. ஸோ நம்ம மெடிடேஷன் இட் இஸ் நம்ம கொடுக்கலாமா சைக்காட்ரிக் பேஷண்ட்க்கு நம்ம மெடிடேஷனை? எனக்கு அது கொஞ்சம் கிளியர் ஐடியா வேணும் ஐயா.
Doctor, can you answer this one?
Yes, sir. So psychiatric patient, how? Yes, sir. So psychiatric patient, how I will advise is, கண்டிப்பாக மெடிடேஷன் நம்ம வந்து அந்த தீட்சை கொடுத்து அவங்கள வந்து பண்ண சொல்லலாம். ஆனால் அண்டர் சூப்பர்விஷன்னா இப்போது என்னுடைய வியூ என்னன்னு கேட்டிங்கன்னா வந்து, ஸோ அவங்க வந்து முதல்ல வந்து ஒரு ரொம்ப நேரம் பண்ணாமல் ஒரு 5 நிமிஷம் மட்டும் அந்த மெடிடேஷன் தினமும் பண்ணிவிட்டு, ஒரு 3rd day ஒரு 1 week பொறுத்து அந்த டாக்டரை பார்த்துட்டு என்ன சேஞ்சஸ் இருக்குது, அவங்களுக்கு எப்படி இருக்குன்றதை பார்க்கணும். அவங்க வந்து ஒரு ஜர்னல் மெயின்டைன் பண்ணணும். ஜர்னல்னால் வந்து டைரி மாதிரி கிளியராக ஒரு நாளைக்கு எத்தனை மணிக்கு எழுந்துக்கிறாங்க, எத்தனை தடவை ஒரு மாதிரி டிப்ரெஸ்டாக ஃபீல் பண்ணுறாங்க, அவங்களுடைய உணவு முறைகள் எப்படி இருக்குது. ஏன்னா வந்து மெடிடேஷன் பண்ணிவிட்டு ஏதாவது ப்ராப்ளமான பிறகு நம்ம வந்து அதை ப்ளேம் பண்ணுறதுக்கு பதிலாக வேறு ஏதாவது காரணங்கள் இருக்கா, உணவோ தூக்கமின்மையோ, சாரி ஐ எம் ஸ்பீக்கிங் இன் தமிழ், இஸ் தெர் எனி அதர் ரீசன்ஸ் விச் கேன் ரிசல்ட் இன் த எக்ஸாசிபரேஷன் ஆஃப் சைக்காட்ரிக் கண்டிஷன்ஸ். வி நீட் டு பி வெரி கிளியர் before jumping into the decision that the meditation is the reason for the problem. So with proper supervision, with gradual increase in the meditating status, they can easily follow that. Maybe they can do like Agna meditation for 6 months, let them nicely settle down with Agna meditation, no need to hurry with Turiya or Turiya Dinam, and then slowly increase to the higher levels. So it has to be done in a very gradual manner with supervision.
ஓகேங்கய்யா, மிக்க நன்றி ஐயா. வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
வாழ்க வளமுடன். இப்போ டாக்டர், இதுல வந்து நீங்க சைக்காட்ரிக் பேஷண்ட்னு ஒரே ஒரு பிராக்கெட்ல கொண்டு வராம, யூ ஹேவ் டு see it in 2 ways. One is the introverted hypokinetic type, ஒண்ணுமே பண்ணாம சும்மாவே உட்கார்ந்துருக்கவங்க, hyperkinetic, and then extroverted people. So இந்த ரெண்டுல வந்து for the introverted hypokinetic people, you have to bring out the physical and the energy body. Annamaya Kosha and Pranamaya Kosha கொண்டு வரணும். So more of asanas, more of pranayama, அந்த மாதிரி டான்ஸ் பர்த்டே அந்த மாதிரி கொண்டு வரணும். And more of hyperkinetic extroverted people, you go in for meditation, that will be very helpful for them. So அப்படி பண்ணீங்க.
பைபோலார் கேக்குறாங்கம்மா, பைபோலார் டிசார்டர் போத்
pranayama will help them in the beginning. முதல்ல ஆசனா pranayama பண்ணி இது பண்ணிட்டு then you give கொஞ்சம் meditation கொடுக்கலாம்.
ஓகேங்கம்மா, ஓகே. வாழ்க வளமுடன், வாழ்க வளமுடன். மிக்க நன்றிம்மா.
மேடம் சொன்ன அந்த விஷயத்தில் வந்து அந்த டான்ஸு பாட்டு அது எல்லாம் வந்து எவ்ரி திங் மேக் சென்ஸ். ஏன்னா வந்து இப்போ பாடும் பொழுது நம்மளுடைய வேகல் நர்வ் டோன் இன்க்ரீஸ் ஆகுது, டான்ஸ் ஆடும்பொழுது டிஃப்ரெண்ட் பொசிஷன்ஸில் யோகா மாதிரியே நம்ம வந்து வேகல் டோன் இன்க்ரீஸ் பண்ணுறோம். வேகல் டோன் இன்க்ரீஸ் பண்ணும்போது ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்காக ரெஸ்பிரேட்டரி ரேட், ஹார்ட் ரேட் எல்லாமே கம்மியாகுது. ஸோ அவங்களுக்கு வந்து அந்த ஒரு மன அமைதி கிடைக்குது. ஸோ பைப்போலாரில் வந்து அந்த எக்ஸ்ட்ரீம் ஹை லெவல் எபிசோட்ஸ் வந்து கம்மியாகும். லோ மூட், லோ லெவல் எபிசோட்ஸ் வந்து யோகா பண்ணும்பொழுது அந்த எனர்ஜி லெவல் இன்க்ரீஸ் பண்ணுறதுனால பண்ணலாம். ஸோ போத் வேஸ் இட் வில் ஹெல்ப். என்ன ஒன்று நல்லா சூப்பர்வைஸ்டாக பண்ணணும். ஒரு அட்வைஸ் கொடுத்துட்டு யூ கான்ட் ரிவ்யூ ஹிம் ஆஃப்டர் 1 month. யூ நீட் ரிவ்யூ ஹிம் 3rd day, 1 week with proper journal maintaining. It will definitely help.
சரிங்க ஐயா, மிக்க நன்றி ஐயா. வாழ்க வளமுடன், வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
வாழ்க வளமுடன். எனக்கு ஒரு கொஸ்டின் இருக்குங்க ஐயா. நான் வந்து ஒரு 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 ஸ்டூடெண்ட்டை பார்த்தேங்க ஐயா, காலேஜில் ஒர்க் பண்ணும்போது. அவங்க எப்படின்னா வெளியில் பழகும்போது ரொம்ப நல்லவங்க, தன்னை மாதிரி நல்லவங்க யாருமே இல்லைன்ற மாதிரி, எல்லாருக்கும் ஹெல்பிங் டெண்டன்சி இருக்க மாதிரி இருக்காங்க. பட் அவங்களுக்கு ஒரு பேக் சைடுன்னு இருக்குன்னா நிறைய தப்பு பண்றாங்க. அந்த தப்பு பண்றதை அவங்க ஒத்துக்கவே மாட்டாங்க. அது தெரிய வந்தாலுமே நாங்க அவங்க கிட்ட சொன்னால் பண்ணக்கூடாது இதெல்லாம் தப்பு அப்படின்னு சொன்னாலுமே, இல்லவே இல்லை, என் பேரு தப்பே கிடையாது, நான் தப்பே பண்ணவே இல்லை அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு சொல்றாங்க. அதுக்கு எது எவிடன்ஸ் நாங்க கொண்டு வரல, பட் கேள்விப்பட்ட விஷயங்க. அவங்களன்னா எப்படிங்க ஐயா நாங்க அவங்க எல்லா பயிற்சியெல்லாம் பண்ணுங்கன்னு சொல்றோம். ஆனா நாங்க காலேஜ்ல பண்ண வைக்கிறோம். நல்ல ஸ்டூடெண்ட், நல்லா படிக்கிறாங்க, நல்ல மார்க் ஸ்கோர் பண்றாங்க, எல்லாமே ஒரு ஏதோ ஒரு ஆக்டிவிட்டி கொடுத்தா அதை நல்லா பண்றாங்க, எல்லாம் பண்றாங்க. பட் இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு விஷயம் இருக்கு. இப்ப அந்த மாதிரி இருக்கிறவங்க எப்படிங்க கரெக்ட் பண்றது? எப்படி நம்ம பயிற்சி யூஸ் ஆகும்? அவங்க இன்ட்ரோஸ்பெக்ஷன் பண்ணணும்னு தெரியுது, ஆனா அவங்களை எப்படி செய்ய வைக்கிறதுன்னு கொஞ்சம் சிரமமா இருக்கு. நம்ம காயகல்பம் வந்து எந்த அளவுக்கு யூஸ் ஆகும் இந்த மாதிரி உள்ள ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ்க்குலாம்?
Yes, madam. For these problems, we can use the Kayakalpa and our meditative practices with much more confidence, because this is not a very full-blown psychiatric disorder where by giving our advices we are making that pathology to become a worsened state. So I will take one example. நீங்கள் சொன்னதில் வந்து 2 things. First thing is a denial. ஸோ அவங்க ஒன்று பண்ணுறாங்க, ஆனால் அது வந்து they are denying that they are not doing it. That is named as denial. The second thing, I will take the example of kleptomania. Kleptomania is the disease where people will steal small things. You haven't clearly describe what kind of mistakes they do, but let us take for example they are having kleptomania. Very nice person, very good personality, but when they go to a shop they will just take the small amount of some ginger or something which they won't get scanned and getting caught, or they will take a pen when they go to a relative's house. Very small amount. In fact, if they ask that owner, the owner may give 10 times or 20 times more object to them, but they have the pleasure of doing that small mistake. For example, again, if we go by Maharishi's principle, these are all because of the previous genetic imprints, first of all. So for example, that person may be an absolute terrorist and a big robber in the previous generation, and that Sanchita Karmam has given a small share of the Prarabdha Karmam which makes that person to do these mistakes. So any mistakes, any negative things are associated with the chakras lower than the Anagata chakras. So definitely our exercises will reduce the energy in the lower chakras, make it available to Anagatam, which makes the person more lovable. To the Vishuddhi, makes the person as a leadership. If a person is a leader, he is standing in a ladder, he is standing in a dais, so he will be bit uncomfortable in doing the mistakes. And when he takes his energy to the Anakatam, Turiya Dinam, the chances of making mistakes will come down. So a strict practitioner with much more odious practice of the yogasana will definitely help them to take the energy. And why they deny? Why they deny is from the young age they know what is correct, they know what is wrong, they want to do only good things, they want to be a disciplined person, they want to read well, they want to progress. So the whole focus is correctly in the correct wavelength. But unfortunately, the karma from the previous generation makes them to do some wrong things here and there, which they may know, but in this generation they are nicely building themselves to a nice good nice personality, so they try to deny and say no, 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 it's not me. So there is a disconnect between their previous power padivigal and the present generation one. So with your question we are able to clearly demonstrate a live example of how this prarabdha karma works in a man from the previous generation, taking the imprints in a very nice manner. All this person need is, you can't confront them to say that you are doing this mistake, because that will make them more uncomfortable. First you are introducing him to the bad imprints which he tries to come away, and it's very difficult for him to understand. It will make him confused, and he can even get into a psychiatric disorder that I'm doing something which I'm not, but people are saying, like it becomes like a split personality again. So it's always nice that ask them to encourage them to do the practices properly, and then give the feedback that whatever mistake they are doing in a very subtle manner. We can use the word subtle here also, very subtle manner, because they are the people, if you look at this generation, the present generation, they are good, but because of the previous karmas they are doing few things which will improve. Definitely the Kayakalpa will make the energies to a better level and make them free of these subtle body problems.
Okay, thank you, Aya.
Dr. Ananda?
Yes, madam.
Yeah. So the cycle that you were talking about earlier regarding diabetes, I have bipolar disorder too, with seriously extreme poles. The cycle applies to me too, and somebody else also asked the same question. So it's not so easy to start the kind of stuff that you are talking about because of that cycle.
Yes, madam. I think your question is complete. I think it's definitely
it's
not
just a comment.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy. That's where the subtle body is so powerful. It is definitely not easy. Even if you are trying to do these practices, you are trying only what you are. Say, sorry, madam, I don't know your age, but let us assume you are, say, 30, for example. So, whatever you are trying is with your energy of your 30-year-old, you are trying to be good in getting up and then nicely performing your duties and your sky exercises and Kayakalpa, you are doing everything because you have a vision of only 30 years. But your subtle body has the vision of hundreds and hundreds of years, of generations. So it has so much of energy, and it can easily make a person to go to the extremes, suffer from the psychiatric problems, and so many times people know that overeating is a wrong thing. Simple thing, madam. Everybody knows overeating is a wrong thing. Anybody who is not a child, a grown up will know. But how many people are overeating? It's all because of the subtle body's problem, in the sense like it makes you to feel like that. They may think like, okay, let me eat today and I will balance it by skipping the next meal. But no, the amount of insulin secretion which you have done and amount of insulin resistance you are going to have in the future, which is going to have an uncontrolled diabetes, is already nicely laid the foundation. So those who are not in the proper yogic practices, the life will just take them in the same path. Maharishi used to say, if you pour water, the water will from a higher place to a lower place, it will take its own course. And then any number of time, if you pour the water, it will take you into the own same course. In Tamil, we call it as a pati. So you have to struggle to create another path, which is the yogic path, so that the water will get diverted and get into the new path. It forms a new groove. The same thing happens in the brain. In the brain, once you start properly meditating, a new nerve fibers are getting formed. It is studied in the functional MRI where people who are meditating, they form new nerve fibers. So when they do the meditation for longer time, they will have much more in-depth and much more longer, nice, deep meditation because the new nerves are keeping the other thoughts away. While the early person will really struggle into even like a 3 minutes deep meditation, while a nice pro, a very audious practitioner can do much more deep meditation into a much more deeper duration. So these practices will decrease the frequency, decrease the amplitude of the frequency. It is not easy. It is nothing is easy in this world. If it is easy, we may not be talking this for hours and hours, explaining the integrity of it. We can, everybody will be, the whole world will be a heaven, isn't it? It is not at all easy. And if somebody feels like, I feel very ashamed, why I am not doing that, I feel very bad, why I did a masturbation and wasted my sexual energy today. First of all, stop feeling bad. Appreciate your body and make friendly with your body. If you are not friendly with your body, who will be friendly with you? So make your body as your friend. Make friendly with your body. Your body is like your temple. Make steps in a very baby steps, in a very very small manner. Okay, today on journal writing is very important. Today morning we had a wonderful session on Sky Yoga Cambridge branch. Possibly I will send a video. Our Tangarajan master from UK, he did a wonderful talk on how important it is writing, not thinking. You may think every day 15 minutes, this is the time I'm going to think whatever happened today. I've done that correct, this correct, but I had one idli extra, so I will correct this. Thinking is fine, at least an initial step, but writing a journal. He said, buy a journal with good cost, nice, pricey journal, or I mean, other word is diary, so that you won't lose it. If it's cheap diary, you may miss somewhere, and maintain the diary. It will make a change. It takes time. With amount of prarabdha karma linked to the present birth and death cycle, what you're undergoing, it takes time. And sometimes trying our best and getting ourselves nicely recovered at the age of 50 is better than not trying anything and dying at the age of 45, isn't it? So I will say this is a win-win formula. There is no other option. Only one gate is open. Follow the practices, believe it, bhavanai. Focus and believe that things are going to change. You need to think it 1,000 times, 2,000 times, lakhs and lakhs of times. I'm going to do this. I'm going to come out of this. Write it in the journal every day. First thing, I'm going to do this, and then whatever, good, bad, everything, and then you will be so astonished to see after 1 year when you go through the journal, you will feel that the journal will feed you the confidence that I have moved from point A to point B so nicely with this yoga practices. Whenever I am on some holiday or a patch where I am not doing yoga, the episodes of bipolar problem is more. So you will be a doctor for yourself. You don't have to go and see another doctor what to do that. Your body will tell you that. That is introspection also. So Maharishi has given the full package to us. Only thing, for some people it's more quicker, for some people it's delayed, but there is no other way. And if somebody is not believing this, and if they have the full life, even if they live till 80 year or 90 year and they will die, when they are dying, the prarabdha karma will be having a good amount left out. That what make them suffer in the life. They may be doing aganmya karma some more, which all add to the sanjita karma, and they will get birth again, and maybe discussing the same yoga in the next birth, isn't it? So the only way is up.
Thank you, doctor. That was very helpful.
Welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Now I request Dr. Perumalaya to fix the topic for the next webinar.
Okay, Pa. So today the discussion was very nice. Dr. Ananda has given a lot of inputs to us, and Sundara Devi also very much interesting. I feel that I think two topics I think we can later on assign for our scholars. One, Dr. Ananda said about the sun PCOS problem, how this Kai Yoga can help the patients to get relieved. That way we can make an analysis. Why it is coming, what are the problems for that, and how this Kai Yoga may be helpful. We can think of that. And another one, because you are here and a gynecologist, our madam is also here, Sundar Devi is also here. I think we can have that PCOS problem and solution by Sky Yoga, that we can make it out. And another one also, they said about the lower chakras with unwanted behavior, the higher chakras takes to some divine behavior also. So chakras, energy and behavioral pattern, that also we can think of that. I think if you could assist, if both of you could assist in that, we can later on alert some scholars and think it in that way and bring out some more facts to the society. Shall we have that two topics? Later on we can discuss more and we can give it to two scholars. Amma, பண்ணலாமாமா?
பண்ணலாங்க.
சொல்லாதி அம்மா.
பண்ணலாமா?
சரி.
I am happy to do the chakras, sir. Madam can do the PCOD and yoga influence on PCOD. I will do on chakras.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Then next webinar we will have another Sunday, or after alternate Sunday we'll be having that. So before that, if possible, we have a meeting with the doctors. We'll try to discuss. Otherwise, I think we can give one more chance for our scholars and the guides. The same topic, let them give their inputs in the another webinar, and by the time we will discuss and finalize, and we will give our results after that, madam. Shall we go like that, madam?
பண்ணலாங்கய்யா.
For scholars and the guides, we will give one more chance for them to provide their inputs about this, mainly about this vital fluid. Then by that time, we all will discuss separately and we will come to some conclusion. And finally, in another seminar, we will present our reviews.
Yeah. அதுல I want to say one thing. இப்போ ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் போய் அவங்க தேடும் போது என்ன பண்றாங்கன்னா சித்தர் பாடல்கள், அது அஃப்கோர்ஸ் அதுதான் அவங்களுக்கு கிடைக்கும். ஸோ ஆல்ரெடி அதெல்லாம் நிறைய இருக்கு, அதை சொல்றாங்க, அதெல்லாம் கரெக்டு தான், அந்த பேசிஸ்ல தான் இதெல்லாம் வந்திருக்கு. பட் தென் இதுல நம்ம இன்னும் என்னன்னா புதுசா என்னென்ன இருக்குன்னு அவங்க கூகுள்ல போய் பார்க்கணும். ரிசர்ச் ஓரியன்டா, மெடிக்கல் ஓரியன்டா, இதுக்கு எப்படி இந்த கோரிலேஷன், மெடிக்கல் அண்ட் ஸ்பிரிச்சுவல் கோரிலேஷன், அந்த மாதிரி தேடி கொண்டு வர சொல்லுங்க. பழைய சித்தர் பாடல்கள் அதுலயே அது அஃப்கோர்ஸ் வி ஆல் நோ, அதையே திரும்பி பண்ண வேண்டாம், இந்த மாதிரி பண்ண சொல்லுங்க. அவர் இது இந்த நம்ம எய்ம் என்ரிச் பண்ற மாதிரி மெட்டீரியல் தேடி பண்ண சொல்லுங்க.
சரிங்க, that will do.
வாழ்க வளமுடன் ஐயா. Can we have the vote of thanks ஐயா?
அப்ப நம்ம ஸ்காலர்ஸ்க்கும் கைட்ஸ்க்கும் பார்ட்டிசிபேட் பண்ணிக்கலாமா? அவங்களுக்கு அடுத்து இதே டாபிக்ல அவங்க பேசட்டும். அம்மா சொன்ன மாதிரி கொஞ்சம் புது இன்புட்ஸ் கொஞ்சம் கொடுக்கட்டும். எனக்கு ஸ்காலர்ஸ் கைட்ஸ் எல்லாம் நம்ம ஸ்கை ப்ரொஃபஸரா இருக்கிறாங்க எல்லாமே, அவங்க கொஞ்சம் இதுவரைக்கும் சொல்லாத கொஞ்சம் புது இன்புட்ஸ் கொஞ்சம் கொடுக்கட்டும். அதுக்கு அடுத்து பை த டைம் நம்ம டாக்டர்ஸோட சேர்ந்து we'll have a meeting, we will discuss about that and we will try to finalize that. அதுக்கு அடுத்த மீட்டிங்ல நம்ம ஃபைனல் ரிசல்ட் நம்ம கொடுக்குற மாதிரி
சரிங்கய்யா. ஓகேங்க.
இப்பவே கூட ஸ்காலர்ஸ் those who are interested or guides those who are interested, அவங்கள ரிக்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணிக்கலாம், அவங்க நேம் கொடுக்குறவங்ககிட்ட வாங்கி வச்சுக்கோங்க. பட் அந்த பிஃபோர் தே பிரசன்ட் தேர் வியூஸ் நம்ம அதுக்கு முன்னாடி கொஞ்சம் பார்த்துட்டு அது கொஞ்சம் ரிப்பீட் ஆகாம கொஞ்சம் யூஸ்ஃபுல்லா இருக்கிற மாதிரி பார்த்துட்டு நம்ம அதை பிரசன்ட் பண்ண சொல்லிக்கலாம்.
ஓகேங்க. சரி. ஓகேங்க. So I think we can have the vote of thanks now. I request the PhD scholar Hemu Malini to render the vote of thanks.
Be blessed by the divine. Good evening, to one and all. For me, every minute is a grace. Joy is the simplest form of gratitude. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our Vision Director, Dr. K. Permalaya, for being the source for conducting the series of Science of Kayakalpa. I wish to express my gratitude to Dr. Ananda Kumar Dansekar for enlightening us with his knowledge on Veda, Brahmajnana, Chakras, Kayakalpa, Bhavanai, science behind Kayakalpa, its application and benefits. Thank you, sir, for sharing your knowledge. Convey our thanks to our daughter, Ms. Janani, for preparing a wonderful PPT for us. Thank you, Shanti Ma, for conducting a blissful meditation. And thank you, Lalita Ma, for introducing our guest speaker of the day. Thank you to all the doctors, Dr. Suchandra Devi Ma, Dr. Shanmugavelaya, Dr. Jayaprakashaya, for being part of the webinar and sharing your views in each and every aspect. Thank you to all the guides and scholars for being in this webinar of Kayakalpa. Valha Valamudan.
Valha Valamudan, kindly sing the world blessing song.